Hello friends, welcome back to the lectures of heat transfer. In the last lecture we have seen different boundary conditions that we need to use while solving the heat transfer problems. In this lecture we will talk about the application of Fourier's law to find out the heat transfer rate that is taking place through the infinite slab, through the hollow cylinder and through the hollow sphere. Along with that, we will also find out the thermal resistance in these three cases. So let us start up with, now first of all let me revise the thing. The Fourier's law, what is Fourier's law? The statement for the Fourier's law is that the rate of transfer of heat per unit time is equals to minus of K into A into dt by dx. This is what the Fourier's law. I think you know what are these terms. This Q dot is the rate of transfer of heat expressed in terms of joule per second. K is the thermal conductivity of that material. A is the area normal to the direction of flow of heat, and dt by dx is the temperature gradient in that direction, in whatever direction that heat is flowing. This negative sign is coming over here. This is due to the reason it indicates that the heat is flowing in the direction of decreasing temperature. So that's what the thermal conductivity, the Fourier's law. Next we have equated this statement Q dot, and we have taken this one to be in this way, say delta T divided by a certain thing. Now whatever this certain thing is there, if I compare this equation with the equation of current, which is equal to change in voltage divided by the resistance R. Now as it is the electrical resistance RE, I will say, so whatever the term it will come into the denominator of this equation, this must be the term RTH, that represents the thermal resistance for the flow of heat, as this heat flow rate is inversely proportional to this term, that is thermal resistance, and this delta T is what? The driving potential, the driving force for the flow of heat. So this is what the concept of the analogy of electrical analogy of the heat transfer. And if we bring every equation of heat transfer in this form, and if we are able to find out the thermal resistance, then it will become very easy to solve the numericals based upon the heat transfer. So let us see one by one, and at first we will start off with the heat transfer in infinite slab, or the heat transfer through the slab. Now heat conduction equation, or the heat conduction equation for a slab. I forgot to mention it over here. It is the infinite slab. It is the infinite slab. So let's talk about that. Now take down this case, a slab of certain thickness. This is infinite slab, and this side is infinite, and over this side also it is infinite. The temperature at this surface, there are two surfaces for the slab, surface number 1 and surface number 2. The temperature at this surface is temperature T1, and temperature at this surface may be somewhere over here. This is the temperature T2. This is the temperature T2. Now as temperature, consider that the temperature T1 is more than T2, and if T1 is more than T2, the heat will flow in this direction. This will be the direction of flow of heat, say Q dot. The thermal conductivity of the material is, let us say, K. The slab is made up of certain material, maybe of brick or say like steel, glass, doesn't matter. So whatever the thermal conductivity of that material is, that is K. And probably the temperature distribution within the slab may be something like this. It is consider it to be linear. Actually it has nothing to do with this topic, but consider it so. Now if I take down the x direction to be something like this, this is the x direction, This is the x-axis with the x coordinate at this point x is equal to 0. The width of the slab is, let us say, this is the L, and I can say that at here at this point x will be equals to L. So these are what the nomenclatures. Now let us apply the Fourier's law. What is Fourier's law? The Fourier's law states that the rate of transfer of heat Q dot is equals to minus K A into dt by dx. This is what the Fourier's law is. Now we are going to separate up the variables, and after separating out the variables we will integrate it and we will see what is the equation of Q. So this equation I can write down it as, this is Q dot into dx as equals to minus Ka into the term dt. So we have separated out the variables and now I am going to integrate it, and if I integrate it I will have this as the integration sign. The constant will be outside, say Q dot, the heat transfer rate constant outside, integral of dx. Now integral of dx, now that x is varying from x is equal to 0 to x is equal to L. So I would like to put down the limits for that. So that is 0 to L, and this is equal to minus K and A are being constant and taken out of the integral, and then integral of dt, where dt, the term t, is varying from t1 to t2. When x is equal to x1, t is equal to t1, and when x is equal to L, t is equal to t2. Now if I integrate it, what I will get is Q dot integral of dx will be equals to x within the limit 0 to L is equals to minus of K, integral of dt is t, and that too within the limits. If I put down the limits, the limits will be t1 to t2. Now just substitute the limits, so I will have this Q dot into the bracket, the upper limit L minus 0 as equals to minus K A, the upper limit is T2 minus the lower limit is T1. So this can be simplified as Q dot into the L, the term L is equals to, if I take down this minus sign inside the bracket, it will become Ka into the bracket T1 minus T2. So what equation I will get for Q dot? Q dot is equals to, this is Ka into the term T1 minus T2 whole divided by the letter L, and say this is equation number 1. This equation 1 gives you the heat transfer rate through an infinite slab of thermal conductivity K of width L and maintained across the temperature difference of T1 and T2. So the same equation I would like to rewrite, and that too in another way. First of all, let me rewrite it as it is. So this is Q dot is equals to, this is Ka into T1 minus T2 whole divided by the length L. Now this equation I would like to rewrite in this way. This is T1 minus T2 whole divided by, look at this K and A, the K, the thermal conductivity of the matter, and the area normal to the direction of flow of heat. I am going to take it into the denominator, so it will be L by Ka. And if it is so, then I would like to equate this term with the term delta T divided by R thermal. Hope you know what is this R thermal. R thermal is what? The thermal resistance of that slab. So from this equation I can say that the thermal resistance of the slab is equals to, it is L divided by K into A, and this is what the thermal resistance. So this is all about the thermal conduction, heat conduction equation for an infinite slab, and this is the equation for the heat conduction through the infinite slab, and this is the equation for the thermal resistance for a slab. So let us go ahead for the next topic, the heat conduction equation for a hollow cylinder. If we talk about the cylinder, very often and everywhere in every mechanical equipment we come across the heat transfer taking place through a hollow cylinder. Typically saying, if you take down the boiler, there are tubes of the boiler, evaporator, condenser, you will find some refrigerant is flowing through the tubes of the evaporator and condenser, and inner surface and the outer surface of the evaporator or condenser are maintained at two different temperatures. And as there exists somewhat temperature difference, there will be somewhat flow of heat, and that flow of heat is governed by certain equation. What is that equation? We will talk about that. So the next topic is the heat conduction equation for hollow cylinder. Hollow cylinder. So let's talk about that. I would like to take down the cross-sectional area of the cylinder. Let us say this is the cross-sectional area. This is the outer surface of the cylinder, and say this is the inner surface. This is the inner surface of the cylinder. This is the center point. These two circles are obviously the concentric circles with the uniform thickness of the cylinder. The inner radius is, let us say it is R1. R1 is the inner radius and R2 is the outer radius, R2. This tube, this cylinder is made up of certain material, and that material has somewhat thermal conductivity K, and the heat is flowing only in the radially outward direction. This is Q dot. The heat is flowing in the radially outward direction, that is Q dot. The temperature gradient exists along only in the radial direction. There is no temperature gradient exists in the axial direction. I mean, temperature is almost constant across every line parallel to the axis of this pipe. So no temperature gradient in other directions. So the temperature gradient exists only in the radial direction. So the heat transfer will exist only in the radial direction, right? Now, let us talk about the heat conduction equation through this hollow cylinder. So I think we know the Fourier's law. What is this Fourier's law? Fourier's law says that Q dot is equals to minus Ka into dt by dr. Let me tell you, this is dr, not dx, since the heat transfer over here is taking place in the radial direction. So if I take it like this, and that to area A, now if I take down certain radius at anywhere, if I take down certain radius till here, and if I imagine a circle, cylindrical surface to be something like this, having certain radius r, say r over here, then the surface area of this, lateral surface of the cylinder will be 2 pi r into the length L, what is the length of the tube is. So I would like to take it over here as area is equals to 2 pi r into L. If I substitute it over here, I will get the equation for Q dot as equals to minus K 2 pi r L into dt by dr. If it is so, then separate up the variables, and after separating out the variables, what you will get, I would like to take down this dr and r over this side. So I will have this one as Q dot into dr by r on the left hand side. R and dr I have taken it over this side, and on the right hand side it will be equals to minus of, what is that, 2 pi Lk. It will be 2 pi Lk into dt. This constant 2 pi Lk, you can keep it at anywhere over this side or this side, doesn't matter, it is not going to alter the answer. So to this equation, now we have separated out the variable. So now integrate it. So if I integrate it, I can integrate it as like this is integral of Q dot dr by r as equals to integral of minus 2 pi Lk into the term dt. Now what are the limits for the integral? If you check out r, how r is varying, the minimum value of r can be r1. So it is changing from r1 to r2. Oh, I forgot to mention about the temperature. The inner surface temperature of this cylinder is T1 and the outer surface temperature is say T2. So if it is so, then at r is equal to r1, T will be equals to T1. So the temperature limits will be T1 to, when r is equal to r2, temperature at the outer surface will be T2. And now if I integrate it, how can I integrate it? This Q dot is being constant, integral from r1 to r2 dr divided by r is equals to minus 2 pi Lk integral of dt within the limits T1 to T2. If it is so, then I can take down this Q dot as it is into the integral of dr by r is the natural log of r. So this is the natural log of r within the limits r1 to r2 and this is equals to minus 2 pi Lk as it is. Integral of dt will be t, and if I put down the limits are t1 and t2. Next, so let us put down the limits. What are the limits? This is q dot as it is. Upper limit natural log of r2 minus natural log of r1 is equals to minus 2 pi Lk into the bracket t2 minus t1 after substituting the limits. So this term I can write down q dot as the q dot into the natural log of r2 by r1. Hope you know this. Log a minus log b is equal to log of a by b. So that formula we have used, and this is equals to, if I take down the minus sign inside the bracket, it will be 2 pi Lk into t1 minus t2. So now the final step is, I'm going to get the equation for q dot, and the equation for q dot will be equals to, I'm going to take down this term over the right hand side. So I will have this equation as 2 pi Lk into t1 minus t2 whole divided by the term natural log of r2 by r1. So this is what the equation for the heat conduction through a hollow cylinder having thermal conductivity K with the inner radius R1 and outer radius R2 and maintained at the temperature difference of T1 and T2. The same equation I would like to reshuffle it as, this is T1 minus T2 whole divided by, now look at this is the term natural log of R2 by R1 divided by this term. Now I am going to take into the denominator, it will be 2 pi Lk, and this is one more term. So out of that I would like to equate it to delta T by R thermal, which is the thermal resistance of that particular hollow cylinder, and I can get the equation for the thermal resistance as equals to, it is the natural log of R2 by R1 whole divided by, it's 2 pi Lk, where R1, R2 are the inner radius and outer radius, K is the thermal conductivity of the tube, whatever the tube is, and L is the length of the tube. So whatever that length of the tube is, so it will be there. So this is all about the heat conduction equation for a hollow cylinder. So let us go ahead for the next topic. The next topic is the heat conduction equation for a hollow sphere. Hollow sphere. The figure I am going to keep it as it is, since the cross section of a hollow sphere and hollow cylinder will be the same. Perhaps this equation will also be the same. Most of the parts till here will be the same. So I am going to erase this part. Now with the aid of Fourier's law, we will get the heat conduction equation through hollow sphere. Well, now let me tell you what this is. This is the figure, the cross section of a hollow sphere. This is the solid surface. The hatched region over here is the solid surface, with the inner radius R1, outer radius R2, the thermal conductivity K, the inner surface temperature is T1 and outer surface temperature is T2, and the temperature gradient exists only in the radial direction. Obviously the temperature gradient will be there in the radial direction only, considering no internal heat generation. By the way, I forgot to tell you that what are the expressions that we have seen till here in this lecture, that is the heat conduction equation for infinite slab, then for a hollow cylinder. So all these are the cases belonging to no internal heat generation and under steady state condition. So I forgot to mention about that. So in this case also, under steady state condition, if inner surface is maintained at temperature T1 and outer surface is maintained at the temperature T2, then the temperature gradient will exist only in radial direction, since for the sphere every direction is a radial direction. So the heat transfer will take place in that direction only. So how much is that? That is given by the Fourier's law. This is the Fourier's law, that is Q dot is equal to minus Ka into dt by dr. But in this case, the surface area of a sphere is given by 4 pi r square. This is what the surface area of a sphere. This is the surface area of sphere. If I take down any arbitrary radius small r in between r1 and r2, then the surface area of that imaginary sphere will be equals to 4 pi r square. Now substitute this value of A, the area normal to the direction of flow of heat, into this equation of Fourier's law. I will get this as Q dot as equals to minus Ka. What is A? A will be equals to, it is 4 pi r square into dt by dr, this term as it is. So let us separate up the variables. If I separate up the variables, I will get this as Q dot into dr by r square or this side is equals to minus K 4 pi into dt, this term as it is. So what next? Now integrate this equation with certain variables. Variable over the left hand side is r, radius r, and the variable over the right hand side is temperature T. So if I integrate this, and that too by substituting the limits, integral of Q dot into dr by r square is equals to integral of minus 4 pi k, this is minus of 4 pi k into dt. And what are the limits for the integral? Limits for the integral you can check out in, for the radius r is changing from r1 till the outer surface, it is r2. And while you are going from R1 to R2, temperature is changing from T1 to T2. So the limits for the temperature are T1 to T2. So let us simplify this. This is Q dot integral of, I would like to take down this r to the power minus 2 into dr within the limits R1 to R2 is equals to, this is minus 4 pi k as it is, constant and taken out of the integral, and this is integral from T1 to T2, integral of dt. Take out the integral of this one. I think this is Q dot as it is. Integral of r to the power minus 2 will be r to the power minus 2 plus 1 divided by minus 2 plus 1, that will be r to the power minus 1 divided by minus 1. It means, in short, I can write down this as minus 1 by r will be the integral of r to the power minus 2 within the limits r1 to r2 as equals to minus 4 pi k, integral of dt is t within the limits t1 to t2, right? Well, put down the limits then. If I substitute the limits, Q dot into upper limit minus 1 divided by r2 minus lower limit minus 1 divided by r1 as equals to minus 4 pi k into the limits t2 minus t1. Let us simplify this. How will you simplify it? This is Q dot into the bracket. I will, so this minus minus plus, so I will prefer to write it at first. 1 by r1 minus 1 by r2, it's over here. This is equals to, if I take this minus sign into the bracket, so I will have this as 4 pi k into the bracket T1 minus T2. This is the term. So I think we can take down LCM over this side, and if I take down the LCM, what I will get, this is Q dot as it is into the bracket, LCM is R1 R2, and I think over here in the numerator it will be R2 minus R1, that is equals to 4 pi k T1 minus T2. So if I write down this equation Q dot, equation for Q dot, I think Q dot will be equals to, if I take down this entire bracket over this side, I will get this as 4 pi R1 R2K into the bracket T1 minus T2 whole divided by the term over here will be R2 minus R1. Now this is the equation for this is the heat conduction equation from a hollow sphere, and this equation we can also write down in the form of delta T divided by R thermal. So what will be the equation? The equation will be something like this. This will be, say like this will be T1 minus T2 whole divided by this term in the denominator as R2 minus R1, and if I take down rest of the parameter into the denominator, what I will get is, it will be 4 pi R1 R2K, this is small k, and this is the term in the denominator, and if I equate it to delta T by RTH, what I will get for RTH? For RTH, I will get this as RTH as equals to, what is that? This is R2 minus R1 whole divided by 4 pi R1 R2 into the term K, and this is what the concept of, or so the equation for the thermal resistance for a hollow sphere. This is the equation for the thermal resistance of a hollow sphere. So now let us see one more case, one more concept. We have seen the electrical analogy. We will see one example based upon this, how the electrical analogy can be used while solving the numericals based upon the heat transfer. And after looking at some of the numericals, or say some of the examples, then we will see new concept, that is the thermal contact resistance. Now let us talk about, say, we have just seen the heat transfer equation, heat conduction equation through infinite slab. What was that equation? That equation was Q dot was equals to, it was Ka into T1 minus T2 whole divided by letter L. This was the equation that we obtained by applying the Fourier's law to the heat conduction through the infinite slab, where K is the thermal conductivity, A is the area normal to the direction of flow of heat, T1 minus T2 is the temperature difference, and L is the width of that slab. So from this I can write down the same equation as, this is T1 minus T2 divided by L by Ka, and this equation will give me the equation for R thermal for the slab as equals to L by K into A. Now the concept of this thermal resistance we are going to apply to solve the questions based upon like complicated questions like the heat transfer through the composite slab. So let us see what it is, how to get it. In a case, for example, I am going to tell you, in a case there is a composite slab made up of many materials, say this is the first material, this is the second material, and this is the third material, say something like this, and the slab is infinite. So with the thermal conductivity of first material is thermal conductivity of the first material is K1, thermal conductivity of second material is K2, thermal conductivity of the third material is K3. With the thickness L1, L2 and L3. The temperature at the left surface of the slab is T1 and the temperature at the right surface of the slab is T2. The temperature across the right surface of the slab is T2. Temperature across the right surface is T2, something like this, right? In that case, how to get the heat transfer that is taking place through this composite slab? Only the surface, extreme surface temperatures, that is T1 and T2, are given to you. The width of each slab is given to you, and the thermal conductivity of each slab is given to you. In that case, we can directly compare this equation, compare this situation, this problem, with the electrical circuit. How electrical circuit? Now, whatever the thermal resistance of this slab is, let us say it is R1, the thermal resistance of this slab is R2, the thermal resistance of this slab is R3. In such a case, I can take down the equivalent circuit diagram as this is the resistance R1, this is the resistance R2, this is the resistance R3, and they are maintained at the temperature difference of T1 and T2, where this is the resistance R1, मैं इसके नीचे लिख रहा हूं, this is the resistance R2 and this is the resistance R3. And we can directly get the equation for Q dot. How? That is by taking down this Q dot as equals to delta T divided by R thermal, overall thermal resistance of this entire slab. And as you can see, all these resistors are connected in series. So series, they will be get added. And how they will be get added? It will be delta T is nothing but the temperature difference, that is T1 minus T2. T1 minus T2 will be the temperature difference divided by the equivalent thermal resistance of the entire slab will be equals to, it is R1 plus R2 plus R3. That is what the equation for Q dot, that is the heat transfer rate through the composite slab. And I think we know the concept of R thermal, we know the formula for R thermal. If I apply this formula of R thermal to get the thermal resistance of individual slab 1, 2 and 3, this is slab number 1, 2 and 3. So as to get the value of R1, R2 and R3, I will get the value of R1 as equals to, it will be L1 divided by K1A, value of R2 will be equals to, it will be L1 divided by, not L1, it will be L2 divided by K2A, and value of R3 will be equals to, it will be L3 divided by K3A. Now, I think in this equation, we know the temperature difference T1 and T2, we know length of each slab L1, L2, L3, we know this K, that is K1, K2, K3, and if I add up all these, I will get this R equivalent as equals to, it will be R1 plus R2 plus R3, and that will be equals to, if I take down 1 by A as common, so what I will get is, it will be L1 by K1 plus L2 by K2 plus L3 by K3. And now substitute this value of R thermal in this equation, so you will get Q dot as equals to, it is T1 minus T2 divided by R thermal is 1 by A into the bracket L1 by K1 plus L2 by K2 plus L3 divided by K3, and that's the final equation. And with the aid of this equation, you can get the heat transfer rate that is taking place across this slab. So, like that we can get the heat transfer rate that is taking place through the composite cylinder, composite sphere also. The concept is being the same. You need to keep on adding the resistances. You have to remember the formula for R thermal, that is the thermal resistance of, for the slab it is this one, for cylinder it is different, for sphere it is different. You need to apply that formula at that particular situation, taking down these dimensions, right? So this is all about the composite slab. We will see some of the numericals based upon this in the next lecture. Now the next concept that we are going to talk about is the concept of the thermal contact resistance. So let us see what is this thermal contact resistance. the concept of thermal contact resistance. Thermal contact resistance. Now, just we have seen how to solve the problems related to composite slab, but many times what happens in a case if there is a composite slab made up of two materials joined by some force fitting, this is the infinite slab again, and maintained at the temperature difference of say T1 and say T2 over here. This is the temperature difference. Next, now if you try to analyze this problem straightforward, you will take down the resistance. I mean, say this is of thermal conductivity K1, this is of thermal conductivity K2, this is of the length L1, this is of the length L2. Then you will get the thermal resistance of this one, thermal resistance of this one. Two resistors are in series, so they will add up and you will get the final result. But surprisingly, if these two sheets of different material, when they are fitted by external joint, then if you find the region over here, if you find the joint over here, you will find that joint to be something like this. The joint over here is something like this. No one material is exactly flat and smooth, so there exists some irregularities on the surfaces. This is the irregularity of the first surface and this may be the irregularity of the second surface, something like this. So this is the first surface and this is the second surface, right? And in actual physical contact, where these two sheets are in actual physical contact, maybe at very small area over here, over here, over here or over here. So hardly 3-4 spots are there where they are in actual physical contact. But the gaps which is present over here, I don't have other color. The gap, there exists a small gap in between these two joints, I mean these two material, wherever the material is get joined together, there exists a very small gap and that gap contains what's there over here into the gap. It will be the air or any other fluid. Any other fluid. Fluid may be the liquid, probably the gas. I mean if it is the solid material. So probably, most probably it will be the air or say the fluid in the sense other gas. Now air, if you talk about any solid material, thermal, say if I talk about the thermal conductivity of this slab, this material to be maybe 100 watt per meter Kelvin. This is also in the range of few hundred. But as there is air over here, the thermal conductivity of the fluid very close to, I mean 1 or less than 1. I mean this for air, this is, I mean 0.1 something. So it is too much less. It's too less. And as the thermal conductivity in this region is very less compared to the thermal conductivity of the slab over here and here, there exists a large resistance in between the joint also. So if you try to get the equivalent circuit diagram for this one, it's not like this, but this is R1 and this is R2, but in addition to that, over this region there exists a resistance and that resistance is over here. And I will say this as the thermal contact resistance. And that is the reason if you check out the temperature distribution into the slab, the temperature is dropping down in this slab maybe something like this, but at this region in the interface of these two surfaces itself there exists a temperature drop, certain temperature drop, and then onwards then another temperature drop. Now, this temperature drop is taking place due to very high thermal contact resistance of these two sheets joining at the joint of these two sheets. Now, now this is a big question and unavoidable perhaps I will say. How to reduce up that thermal contact resistance? How to reduce up the thermal contact resistance? It is very, and how to calculate first of all. The calculation of thermal contact resistance is very difficult since you cannot measure this gap which is at micro or nano level. These irregularities are in the range of few microns or say maybe less than that. And measurement of such irregularities of such a short distance, that is very difficult. Second, that is again not uniform. You cannot check out at what place how much is the gap I mean that gap is also continuously fluctuating, varying. Second, the contact surfaces are also, you cannot measure it, right? And moreover, if the gap is larger, there will be the heat transfer taking place from this solid surface. यहाँ पे दिखा देता हूँ ये, from this solid surface to this gas over here by convection, and again from convection from this gas to this solid surface. So it is, I mean, very much difficult to find out the thermal contact resistance. It depends upon many parameters. For example, it depends upon how much gap is there in between these two sheets, how much is the pressure exerted while joining these two sheets, how much is the thermal conductivity of that fluid which is trapped within these two sheets, and so on. So it is difficult to measure that, but that exists. What we can probably do to reduce up that thermal contact resistance is to press fit the two sheets, to not to allow, I mean, why they should be press fitted, probably soldering kind of process, joining process can be used so that there cannot be any air gap in that. And even if there exists some gap, so that gap should be fulfilled by some high conductivity material, and so on. So, and that thermal contact resistance is get introduced everywhere, wherever there is a composite material. Now, it is the case of the composite slab. Instead of this composite slab, if I take down a composite cylinder which is consisting of 1, 2 and select 1 and 2 cylinders. Now this is first cylinder with thermal, this is the hollow region over here. This is the first cylinder, this is the second cylinder. So if you check out the temperature over here, so there will be resistance, somewhat resistance over here, then somewhat resistance over here. But in addition to that, while you are joining these two cylinders by any of the process, there is a gap in between these two cylinders, and here also there is one resistance, and that is the thermal contact resistance, right? It is difficult to, I mean, it is very difficult, rather extreme difficult to make it zero, but we can try to reduce that thermal contact resistance by different methods, right? So I think for today we should stop over here. We will continue the next topic, that is again the heat conduction equation in one dimensional steady state equation, in the next lecture. So thank you for today. See you in the next lecture. Bye.